You are welcome to another episode of Entrepreneurship from the Bible. Today, I'll be treating the letter C. I'll be treating the letter C in today's episode, and the letter C represents creativity. Yes, you need to be creative as a Christian entrepreneur. Let me paint a scenario for you. Imagine that you go into a store, and then you were thirsty for cake. And then when you got into that store, you met one cake, cupcake, just cupcake, nothing on it, no icing, no packaging. They were just there arranged, neatly done, and then they offered you, say, $20 to buy that cake. And then for some reason you said, okay, let me check another store and then I'll come back to you. And then you walked into another store and you saw another person displaying the same size of cake. But this time, this cake had icing. This cake was packaged in a beautiful package, and this cake was written on it, "You would always love to come back." I can bet you will pay for that cake without thinking of the other one in a hurry. Do you know what we have just described here? We have simply described creativity. The truth is, people who have learned how to be creative in their business and in the presentations of their business have always sold better than those who have just done the regular. If you're a Christian entrepreneur and you want to actually thrive and come out as exceptional in the business space, one of the things that you need to begin to do is to begin to put in some level of creativity in that business. I said put in some level of creativity in that business. You need to understand that people are moved by what they see. Oh, yes, it is God that sees the heart. God sees the heart. People see what you present to them. So even if God has given you an idea, you must understand that people are attracted by what they see, the outside, the outward packaging, and that's why. And the truth is, it is people that you are selling your product or your service to, and not God. God is not going to be the one to buy that product. Even if He moves men in the direction of your business, you need creativity to get them to stay with you. So as a Christian entrepreneur, one thing I want you to begin to do is to begin to think of, how can I be more creative with what I do? How can I be more creative with what I do? What's the little extra thing that somebody else will not put in that I need to put in that would help me to be more creative with what I do? One of the things I listed out on my list is that one of the ways that you can be creative with what you do is that, number one, you can find a gap in your space and your industry and fill it. You don't have to do what every other person in your space is doing. I once told somebody, I said, Bessie said, I want to be in the fashion space, for example, and I said, do you know that you do not even have to know how to sew to be in the fashion space? You can be a very good salesperson and then go to a tailor and tell the tailor, I want to be your I want to help you to get customers. For example, I want to help you to get customers, and then in the process of doing so, you have a tailor who cannot sell their business, and then you can do the selling, and you go to the people who can sell the business and say, see, I have a job for you. I think you would love the business at all. And before you know it, you've gotten one, two, three. This tailor is good. Person doesn't know how to sell himself. You can sell yourself. You are still in that same space, but you have done something that the tailor may not have been able to do, because the tailor is naturally wired to sew while you are wired to sell. So you can be creative by finding a gap in an industry and filling the gap. One of the things that creativity will do for you is that it will encourage innovation. If you say you are creative, trust me, you must be innovative. Meaning that, you know what innovation means? Innovation means that you are not doing anything new. It only means that you are putting a little bit of tweak into what is already existing so that you can have an edge. Number three, creativity boosts productivity. Creativity boosts productivity. When you realize that when you do the same thing over and over again, it gets boring at some time, and then you get really bored. Why am I doing this and over again? But the moment you begin to think of something different, it boosts your productivity. You are able to be productive. And you remember when we discussed B, we said business is not business, and what makes it business is that it is productive. So if you're not being productive in your business, you definitely need to begin to find a way to be creative in that business. Number four, I said creativity allows for adaptability. Creativity allows for adaptability. If you have not been able to adapt to a certain kind of system, or maybe some certain kind of customers within your business, the moment you begin to look for creative ways to fill in the gap, like what I said, you are looking for creative ways to meet the expectations of your customer. That way they'll begin to get more adaptable with you, and before you know it, you're getting more customers. And finally, I like to tell you this before I leave: creativity fosters growth. Creativity fosters growth. You need to understand that if you want your business to grow, you must at some point become creative with what you do. You must at some point be creative with what you do. I've mentioned 4 reasons why you should think about something else. Think outside the box. That's the usual word that is used out there. Think outside of the box. What else? What is that little thing that I can do that makes my own business stand out? That's exactly what is called creativity. I hope and I pray that as you begin to find ways to be creative in your business, the Lord Himself will put some ideas in your heart, just like He did in the heart of Joseph. Remember the story of Joseph, that Joseph was faced with a challenge of 7 years of famine that was going to come, and nobody had ever thought that that would happen. But he did not only provide a solution to Pharaoh's problems as a king, he also was creative enough to be able to say, this and this are the things that we can do. Remember, I said creativity also encourages innovation. He was innovative enough to come up with ideas that can help them to preserve food for 7 years, which has not been done. 2 things stands out there: he was creative and he was innovative, and that made him a king even in his time, made him a world leader even in his time. As I round up this stream, I need you to begin to find creative ways to do that same business that you are doing. Find creative ways to do it. Do it in another way. This week, try it out. Look for 2 or 3 different ways that you can begin to do that business of yours. I pray that the Lord would help you and get you to do business the kingdom way. God bless you, and see you next week.